Hello, and welcome to the DoneJS contributors meeting. Today is Friday, August 25th, 2017, and we're live in Chicago today. Woo! Yeah. So let's go ahead and we'll go around and introduce ourselves, say our name, and something fun if you can think of something on the spot. Julian, you want to start on the left?
Of course. Thank you. I'm Julian from Germany, and it's my second time in Chicago. So yeah, it was a good week.
Okay, my name is Sherif. I'm from Algiers, Algeria, and it's my second time in Chicago too. And it was a good week with all the contributors around me.
Yeah. My name is Chasen. I'm from Long Beach, California. This is not my second time to Chicago, but I'm starting to feel familiar with like taking the L, is it called? Taking the L and not being intimidated by the subway system. So
it's a big step.
Yeah. I'm Justin Meyer. This is my probably like 5,000th to maybe 10,000th time in Chicago if you count every day because I live here. Yeah, I've had a great weekend. I'm really looking forward actually to right after this when we go get some good food as a team. So
yeah.
Matthew Phillips. I don't know the number of times I've been in Chicago. It's not as much as him. It's not 2 times either, so somewhere in between there. Yeah, it's been a good week. I'm still intimidated by the subway system, so maybe I'll get there
someday.
I'm Kevin Phillips, no relation to Matthew, and I also have been to Chicago a lot of times, and I'm also still intimidated by the subway system, so it doesn't really go away. I don't think.
I think Chicago isn't so bad.
I know how to get around on it. It's like more the people on the subway system.
The best thing about Chicago is, for anybody who wants to ever travel to Chicago, is that it's at least fixed price. You go to like DC or something like that, it's always like you gotta know how far you're going and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like, sure, it's maybe expensive if you're only going 2 blocks, but in fact, it's like $250 now or something. 75.
Yeah. I'd rather have the flat fee.
Yeah, for sure.
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's go through statuses. Let's go through the reverse order of what we did. Kevin, you want to start off?
Sure. So this week I spent a lot of time putting training material together, and I gave a couple of trainings, one on the new binding syntax and then one on can reflect. And then I've also been working to try to get can 3.10 released still. So we got can Kepler integrated yesterday, and then there's basically just 2 bugs that are left that we're going to try to get fixed today so we can release today or Monday.
Cool.
Yeah, Matthew. Yeah, what have I done this week? I did a training on Skill Bundle Manifest, a little bit of H2, fixed various bugs. There's a Skill Tools patch release. If you've been experiencing recently where there would be a can types warning here in your build, like repeatedly, that was kind of it was actually a Skill Tools bug. So that was fixed and released. That's been a couple others, but that's going to be
Cool.
For me this week, and something that I guess we can start talking about, and maybe it is even a topic if we want to go into more depth, which is I'm working to restructure how Bitovi does its open source contributions towards DoneJS, especially trying to make it more focused on what users are saying. So if you are a user of our stuff, look out, and maybe the next 5-6 weeks, we'll start sending out surveys, I think in 6-week intervals, to ask people what they like and don't like to help direct us and focus us more on things that are adding value to the framework.
Cool. So this past week, I started off the week thinking that I had my blog post all ready to go about React View Model and Can React Component. But I'm currently in the process of rewriting a little bit of it so it's focused on React users instead of CanJS users. And then I continued working on some mini article series that I'm working on for CSS tricks about the value of modlets, and then getting started with Steel.js and following the modlet pattern. So basically finished the rough drafts for those, and then yesterday, the day before, when I had some downtime. There's a site called customelementseverywhere.com with hyphens between the words. Kind of shows off different frameworks and how they work with the real custom elements spec. CanJS wasn't on the site, but we do really well. We only have one issue related to setting properties on custom elements to be able to pass arrays and object values. So I opened the PR and that was merged, so you can see our 26 out of 30 score on the site now. So that was my week. Next week I'll be hopefully finishing and publishing the React blog post and then going through the editing process for the CSS tricks one, amongst other things. So that's my update.
Cool. So for me this week, I helped to help the developers to have a nice user experience when developing CanJS and DoneJS applications. So I do some enhancements on can event batch by logging warning when missing stop on can event batch, and also I did the enhancement by logging warning when in the new binding syntax on can stash if the developer missed to import the can stash binding. And the last enhancement was also a warning on the can view attributes callbacks. So if is defined lately, a nice warning will be displayed to remind you to define the can stash utter before the template is rendered. And the next week I will continue to fix some issues or do some enhancements on CanJS and DoneJS components. That's it for me.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, this week I worked on Steel Service Worker. Right now it's not released yet, but it will be this day. So now you can use or you can create a service worker with Steel after you make a build or use optimize for that. It's currently it's using Node 8, so you have to use Node 8 for that. Maybe I make a transpile that into a minor version that uses Node 4 or 5. So you can use it with Steel. So it's not integrated in Steel yet. You can use it like bundle assets like that to provide a build result into the function. So yeah, hopefully it's a good tool. So check it out, use it, and if there's some issues, file it in the GitHub repository.
Cool. We actually, let's get into that as a topic. So I'm curious, just because you mentioned it, what in it is like Node 8 specific? Is it stuff related to service worker, or just
no,
like it's written with
it's written with await and async functions, so it's much easier to write that promises. So that's the only thing that's written like that.
Yeah.
So what do you think the benefits are of service workers?
Of course, it's caching. So it creates a service worker that caches by default. It caches all, or it took all the files in the dist folder. It has a cloud that takes all the files after the build is done and create that service worker for. And it also creates a registration for service worker and puts that registration directly into Steel production. So you don't have to use a separate file for registration. You can have an option that create a separate file for that. But by default, it creates a service worker right into the Steel production file, or like if you use the Slim loader or the optimize build, it creates that into your loader or into your main file directly, and it's caching all the files in the dist folder. That's the main benefit of that. So after you reload the page, you get all the assets directly from the cache, from the browser, or from the cache, from the service worker cache immediately, and you don't have to re-download it again. So I think it's supported in Chrome, of course, and I think it's supported in Safari.
No, not yet.
They just started work.
They just
Firefox.
I think
the other thing, Justin, you probably like this. I'm pretty sure this is the way. This is not the way service workers work, but this particular tool is it will pre-cache stuff. So like it will go ahead and fetch all the bundles, pre-cache them. So when you go to the next link, you don't have to fetch that from network. It's already in the cache.
That's awesome. And also, I think in some ways, if you just compare service workers to like just getting your caching right, what's the benefit there? I know there's one benefit, which is that like if you have a service worker, like Android will say, would you like to, you can more easily make that as like a little widget in your phone, right? Yeah. It can be installed as an app. I know that's a huge like user experience benefit, right? Service workers. But in terms of performance, is it easier to use service workers to deal with like, and I think, can you push your new assets to the service worker easily?
If you have new assets and you visit the page, the service worker will know that because there are file changed and he's tracking that and re-downloaded the file.
Okay, but is it different or easier or harder than like normal cache headers on like a response or as part of your response headers?
I don't know.
That's fine. That's a good answer. We'll take that. But then
I think service worker.
It's like, I know it's more programmatic.
It sits in the front, so from that perspective. But I mean, really, the offline would be the thing, right? Is that if you your assets are cached, but your main page is not.
The main page can also be hit by the
main
service worker,
page should be cached, and then it would work offline. Whereas caching.
Would it not, like if you just set like crazy expiration headers on HTML, does it still always go and do like a head request?
No, I feel like it. I don't know.
But my question, I know service workers can come alive, so it's also possible to push out the latest code to it somehow, right? Like,
I don't know.
That would be so cool if it's like dead and on my phone just like reconnects and downloads the new Steel code and just it's there for next time the user visits. That would be crazy.
Yeah,
that'd be so awesome.
Yeah,
right?
I know there's stuff related to that, but I don't know what it is.
So when someone's online, it just makes sure that like, but not using it, just make sure they're getting the latest code.
Yep,
that'd be awesome.
So are there ways to extend this? So like the service worker that you built, is it basically single use for the purpose that you built it for, or can people that are using Steel that want to use service workers hook into that to like do push notifications or whatever they want to use service workers for?
Yeah, the registration for the service worker, there's a template right into the repo and uses this template. But you can provide your own template for your own registration and can do all the stuff you like. You can hook into the updated method and can provide, for example, you can provide an notification or you can provide an alert, something like that. So it's customizable. You can use your own template for registration and hook into that and can.
So what should be like our end goal for this technology? Like what should be the path we take to like bring it to folks that should be using it?
From Steel's perspective, it's almost done.
From
Steel, like one thing we talked about with Julian is that we don't know about like images and stuff in the build, so he wasn't able to hook that up. If we can fix that in Steel tools to like have all that information and be able to. That's one thing.
So like a guide for Steel. So, like, well, because I generally think guides are good, but like you would add this, and then there'd be like a guide on Steel, like here, the progressively loaded app or something. You want to use it with service workers. Here's the steps to do that.
Yeah, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about making sure the images are cached as well.
Yeah, no, I know.
Okay.
I guess I'm saying like the final product. I think like we think final product to bring it to kind of market or whatever. Typically for us includes like a guide.
In the direction of data caching. Something.
No, I'm just going in the direction of like how do we get it so people can use it and pick it up and
so we have Steel, not as much as CanJS, but Steel has like quote unquote third-party stuff on the website. Stuff that's not built in. So yeah, it'd be good to get this on the website once it's documented and stuff like that.
And then bigger picture is getting offline in DoneJS.
Yeah,
Use this in DoneJS.
Yeah, because I feel like with Steel service worker support, and we already have the like fall through cache for Can Connect. People can still like use the app, and if it's already cached, then the app's just going to work for them. So I feel like this helps us get like most of the way to being able to have like a DoneJS add PWA or just shipping it with.
So like I mean. Would we just start targeting like place my order for full offline support minus the actual like order button, because that would make no sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I think we would just like for that app
out.
we would either let them place the order and say it'll be saved, but for like an actual place my order, we just like disable and say, hey, you're offline. But
yeah. I mean, that's one thing that we have to think about too, is we probably need a DoneJS 1.1 now that the new binding syntaxes are there. So we have to like update DoneJS's guides to use the.
Yeah, I think that's in the issue.
It is in the issue?
Yeah.
And what?
Still too long.
Yeah. So yeah, what would that like? Are we going to write out so it's optimized? Like when we Steel just generates with .optimize, or do we? But I don't think it's fully working yet, right? To like support.
Oh yeah, it's still conditional. Yeah,
so what's still conditional?
APIs are like not super fleshed out in that regard.
Okay.
But yeah, still conditional is the only like bug. Well, yeah, actually, I'm sorry. There is some stuff to get SSR working with it. That will have to do. Sorry, not quite.
Okay. But that's your. The intent would be eventually to change the generator so it generates with optimize as the build script.
Right.
Okay. That's cool. And then a service worker, and then
regardless service worker, like if we were like really doing placement order right, like you want, like talked about, like certain pages don't work. You want some type of like notification. Like
I think Can Connect, what you would do, I think you absolutely, we need some kind of like notification.
I think we should build, like personally, I think we should build more widgets. Like we should have more stuff like that. We should have a, offline widget of some kind. I mean, I know it feels like everyone wants to customize their own stuff, but now that we have like slots and stuff, we can build widgets that are kind of more generic and allowing people to customize it to their app.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, well, part of it is I think would also be just Can Connect needs like a behavior that just is testing whether you're offline, or then it can route to like a different underlying connection, almost like it can with caching, where you just say like, well, for the place my order, the actual order connection, we would want that, so that gets, and it's really just gets would work. It's like gets would work, and then if you try to do a put, it might like save it, and like, yeah, that's a whole offline is such a tricky thing that we just want to like open the door up so someone could like implement it, and then when they come back online, they can say like, would you really like to create this order now as like an alert, and then they can like push it.
Could actually do it. It would like put it in the queue or something, and then put back on the end.
Yeah,
that might be cool. It's like you come back online. It's like, do you really want to send these 8 orders?
Yeah,
it might be confusing. But it's an interesting problem to solve for sure.
Yeah, for some apps, like having it save and then be able to send once it's online would be great. To do apps, productivity stuff.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send these 8 angry tweets about how you're didn't have service.
Yeah, if anybody is working on this stuff out there in the community, happens to watch these things, let us know, because we're very, it's nice to partner with people who have these problems, obviously. And we've done that in the past to get people like code from our open source team to try out. That's well integrated with our tool set.
Cool. Anything else on this?
Yes, the custom attributes issue. So to explain a little bit what was the issue, so I imported the stash template in the beginning of a file, and I just below I defined a custom attribute. So the custom attribute was not the behavior of the custom attribute was not applied in the element. So the custom attributes are a good way to use JavaScript plugins or, for example, jQuery plugins to apply their behaviors on your elements and use it with can components or any of your with any of your stash templates. So the solution after discussion with Kevin and Justin is to put this the code of the custom attribute in a separate file, and with can import we can import it just in the beginning of your stash templates, and all the behaviors will be applied nicely, and even the performance will be more better. So and the documentation now have a line that explains all these steps. So this is this is maybe the pattern to how to apply custom attributes with your templates. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
So yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about the survey stuff. So I guess like or just talk about the plans and see if anybody has any feedback about it here. The plan is really like in 6-week intervals as we're kind of ending what we call like a super sprint or an epoch. We're gonna send out to like all of Bitovians, all of our Bitovians clients, anybody who will answer the call in the DoneJS community, essentially a survey, which I think will have like maybe 2 or 3 parts. First part is just like, will you recommend our open source tools to a friend, and like why or why not, right? That's like net promoter score, just like people. And then the next question is, what we'll do is be procuring a list of issues that we think are important, and they'll have descriptions and be laid out, or links to issues where they're well laid out. And there will be like, of these maybe 10 issues, pick your top 3 that you would like to see improved that would help, you future recommend different tools. And that's actually just 2 parts, I think. It's really what we're getting to.
So the Done or CanJS?
It'll be both. Done, Can, and Steel.
They'll be separate.
Separate.
Probably all in, maybe separate. Maybe separate surveys that people can take all 3, or maybe just like one combined thing that like you can do the part. Yeah, you can do the part that you care about. So I guess one thing to talk about is like we want to get. We're going to start having to find as many people to do this as possible. Mm-hmm. Ways that we should set ourselves up so we're going to get people's feedback, and then and if there's ideas about the questions and things like that. But I don't know. I feel like we probably almost need like a link that like pops up in our CanJS sites where it's like for that like week that we're doing the survey, it's like, please take the survey, directs people there. Yeah. Obviously Twitter kind of campaign and talking about it here, and emails.
And specifically reaching out to the people we know who are active on Gitter or forums.
Yeah, and our plan is to take people's emails and do it through an email survey. And I just want to say, like, we will not spam people with that. The point is to get all the information that we can. If anybody has any thoughts about that. But And also organizationally, what's going to happen is, at least from Bitovi standpoint, where it is, there's this weird relationship with DoneJS and Bitovi, and then the rest of the community, right? So functionally, Bitovi has all the horsepower to like build stuff, right? Because we have all the people who's their full-time job. What's going to happen is Chasen is going to be kind of community manager, which means his job is to like help anybody in the community. He's going to be monitoring the forums and Gitter, running these surveys. He's going to be help sending that out. His job will be to get as much information from people as possible on what is going to make them like our products. And then he will work with Kevin, who will be running CanJS, and Matthew, who will be SteelJS and DoneJS, and they will kind of decide the items in that survey, those like 10 things for CanJS, 10 things for SteelJS and DoneJS that we could do, and then they will start putting them into sprints and things like that that we at Bitovi will be executing on. So that's just kind of operationally what we're shifting to. Hopefully good enough for people. First thoughts there?
I think it will be good for us to, like, we already collect just in talking to people who use DoneJS and all of the other packages. We kind of have in our heads what people run into and the feedback and what have you. We haven't necessarily organized that in the best way to be able to do more like product planning and make sure that we're trying to address the needs of our users in our community. So I think this will really help with helping people be heard more and for us to act on that.
Remember we did the buy a feature thing?
Yeah, that was through GitHub.
Was it
the old GitHub? Yeah.
That was similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we already do this, right? I mean, we're working on issues that we hear people complain about. We just don't really hear from that many people. So it's like a couple voices that really get their issues worked out.
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll
that's
get
a good
lot
point.
more input from other people. So
Yeah.
Cool. That's all I got for topics.
Cool. Did anyone have anything else that they wanted to discuss?
Yeah, but I was going to talk about the unupdated by to-dos thing, but without showing visually, I don't think we might save that for next time. Just cool way of doing something.
So is the mining syntax, is that going to be all updated for the next miner?
yeah, hopefully.
Oh, so you done code mods to update everything?
I did once a while ago. I haven't yet. No.
So it's going to update the markdown.
Yeah. The code mod is really cool. Yeah, it does different things if it's a markdown file or a stash file or an HTML file, JavaScript file.
Really? What is it? What does it do
In
different?
markdown files, it looks for like backticks and then a JS or backticks and then a HTML to update things differently.
Wow,
The problem is that we ran into was if you, in a JavaScript file, if you call like stash as a function and pass it a string, it was totally screwing that up because it was taking that first parentheses and thinking that was the bindings. And so it really, making it context aware makes it a lot easier to.
Wow.
Also, James is really good at regular expressions. So it wasn't, I didn't actually do anything. I just asked James to do that. So shout out to James.
Yeah.
Good job.
Cool. Anything else? All right. Everyone who's watching on YouTube, thanks for watching, and see you guys next week.
Thanks.
Bye.
Right over there, Chasen.
We'll distract
Hit stop broadcast.